morning. Welcome back to the vlog and welcome back to another steamy one in Wewak, Papua New Guinea. Today we have got some volcanic ash to deal with. We're going to be flying out to a jungle airstrip, and we've got we have two volcanoes about 100 miles away that are spitting out a lot of ash today. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind as I do take off out of here. Mainly the ash is over the ocean, and it does extend into the mainland, and it's anywhere pretty much below 9,000. So I'm going to stay at a lower altitude for a little bit longer today as I'm going out. Once I get out, probably about 15 to 20 miles is where I noticed when I came back in that the ash was kind of dissipating out there. So anyways, my name is Ryan, and we're flying the Kodiak 100 today. I'm taking about 730 kgs of cargo out on about a 40-minute flight today. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Alright, if we're not 50 knots by the first taxiway, we're going to go ahead and full reverse heavy braking, flaps up, cut off, pull off, and shut off if we are going off for any reason after takeoff. Pitch for 85, consider EPL, consider feather. Full flaps, hit our emergency button, crack our doors, masters off, and make my mayday call. Right. Lights are all on. Actually, has already been done. And harness is high idle. 33 degrees out on the ground here today, so 1520, 1470 for 1520 on the torque. And rotate at 62, 73 for VREF if we do need to come back in. So 62 for rotate. Ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel harnesses, 1470, rotate 60. Right, airspeed is alive. There's 50 knots, continuing. There's 62, rotate. We're going to go ahead and make a left-hand turn out of here because we need to go that way right behind us, so we're just going to do a nice shallow turn out of here and make my departure call here in a second to Madang. But first I'm just going to let these people know that are on the ground. There's 3 airplanes. All stations Wewak, Kodiak, November Tango Echo, departed runway 10, outbound track will be 240 on climb not above 8,000. All stations Wewak. Right over 85 knots, we're going to reduce to 10 degrees of flaps and pull back on the nose. It does have auto trim, but it's just used to go a tiny bit more than what it has set up from factory. I'm going to stay probably right at 2,000 feet for a little while until I get out further, in hopes that I can stay a little bit below some of the volcanic ash. I mean, obviously it does fall to the ground, but the majority, when I just came in about 20 minutes ago, it was mainly between like 5,000 to 6,000 up to 9,000. So I'm just gonna, it looks really hazy out right now, but that, I don't think that's the volcanic ash. As usually you can tell, it's looks like kind of a brown line, or sometimes like this morning it was a bunch of little tiny like streaks of lines. So that's how you can tell if it's volcanic ash, and yes, it's very bad for the engine. I bring my prop to 2,000 RPM and my ITT to 720, but I'm just about at 2,000 feet, so I'm actually probably just going to bring my torque on back. Just for my cruise right now. So because I'm so low to sea level, rather than actually flying by my torque at 1250, I'm just going to bring my fuel flow down to 320 and go off of that indication, because that's what we do all of our numbers off of. All of our fuel planning and stuff is off of 320 pounds per hour on fuel burn. Alright, bypass. I'm actually going to leave bypass on just in case this is. It will help keep some of it out of the engine. It doesn't hurt to fly with it on. So, alright, we departed on the hour. It's a 39-minute flight. Madang 1267 November Tango Echo departure.
Tango Echo, go ahead.
November Tango Echo departed Wewak on the hour, tracking 239. Not above 8,000, will initially be not above 5,000 for the first 20 miles due to the volcanic ash, and then Hauna 39er.
Kodiak Echo, Roger Madame. Primary request 6538, no contact. Backup 6598.
6538 or 98, November Tango, Echo. Alright, now that we're going out, I'm just going to go ahead and hit my autopilot on. Climb up just to 2,000 feet for now. Looks like a lot of these clouds have already come up. When I came in just a half hour ago, all these clouds are right around 2,000, maybe 2,500 at most. They're starting to rise this afternoon. In the Sea Peak area, it looks like it's going to have quite a few big storms. So I'm trying to get most of my flying done by I think 2:40 is when I actually get back to Goroka today. I took off at 7 this morning and have a full day. So this whole week has been a really full week. Well, the way I know how far I am from the airport I just left, I can hit the nearest button right here. And the top one, WEWAC, is going to be how far I am. So I'm just now 8 miles from WEWAC. Go ahead and turn off my pulse light, my landing light. We'll leave my strobe on. I'll leave my engine inlet and bypass, and I have my igniters are turned off. All right, we are 20 miles out from WEWAC now, so we're going to go ahead and climb up to 8,000 feet. So I'm going to turn my bug here up to 8,000 feet, and turn the autopilot off. Increase my ITT up to 720 for my climb. And I just keep my prop at 2,000 RPM for my climb. So for best rated climb, we can climb up at 99 knots, and then every 2,000 feet it goes down another knot. So I like just to keep it usually at like 99 knots to at slowest like 95 knots. And that's going to give us, on average, well, depending on how heavy you are, it's going to usually give you around 1,100 feet per minute on average for most of my loads that we fly out. Which is nice because you can just about out-climb, well, not all the weather, but a lot of the weather you can out-climb here if it's just clouds like this. So one way that you can fly this airplane on your simulators, or you can fly a 152 if you're doing training or whatever else you're doing, is to fly very consistent things, and it's going to give you very consistent results, which is just going to increase your safety in every realm. So if I know that I want to get 99 knots, it's usually right around the 10 to 11 degree mark on my attitude indicator, and that's going to give me the same result. So if I have my ITT set up at 720, my props at 200, and I pitch for like anywhere from 10, like usually it's like 11 to 12 degrees on the attitude indicator, it's going to give me that exact same result. So if you guys are starting to do IFR training or whatnot, I always fly by the numbers because it gives you very, very, very consistent results depending on how heavy you are and stuff like that. But like I said, when you increase consistency of something, it also increases your safety in whatever you're doing. Alright, so it doesn't really look like I have really much ash out here. I can kind of tell a tiny bit. Let me show you. I doubt that the camera really picks it up, but there's like this kind of just ever so slight brownish haze in the air, and that's usually an indication of volcanic ash. Another way that you can tell if it is volcanic ash is it has a very definite line on the horizon, and it'll sometimes have multiple layers, like a little thin like brownish line or kind of grayish brown. At least that's how it looks through my sunglasses. And every once in a while it also smells a tiny bit different. It smells kind of just kind of dusty kind of smell. If you're far away from where the volcano is, it's just kind of a dusty smell. If you're really close, then it smells like sulfur or rotten eggs. I mean, like I said, this one's like over 100 miles from where we are right now behind us, but the ash is just kind of slowly blowing this way. So we're going to a place called Hauna today, and like I said, it's just a jungle airstrip, and it's not terribly long. Let me bring it up for you. As you can see, here we are. We started up in WEWAC today, and it's a 40-minute flight out here to Hauna. Hauna is 484 meters long. I think it's a tiny bit longer because they did some work and extended the end of it that you can use for takeoff. It's only 63 feet elevation, and it says it's a 0.5% slope going downhill, and such a small, 0.5% is pretty much just flat, so really not having anything to worry about that. The biggest thing that we have to worry about at this specific airstrip is the fact that once the grass gets maybe 4 inches to 5 inches tall, it's kind of like a big sod field, and you can just rip up pieces of sod. And so that also happens when you land, and you don't even have to touch your brakes. The sod will just start packing up on your tires, and I've had it to where I had a pile of sod about 2.5 feet deep. It can get really dangerous really quick. If you did have a lot of that, you did some heavy braking, and only maybe one side packed up with a bunch of grass, it could pull you off. So that's something I'm going to be aware of as I do come in today. I know the first maybe quarter of the runway to third of the runway is a little bit more firm than the other half. Once I get about halfway is where the grass usually starts piling up on my tires. So I'm going to make note of that, and if that does happen today, then I'm just going to immediately come out of reverse, just so I'm not slowing down, release the brakes so that I can hopefully hop over top of that grass clump, depending on how big it gets. So anyways, that's things you have to deal with, yeah, flying here in Papua New Guinea that you probably don't have to have happen very often in the U.S. or wherever you're flying. All right, we're leveled off at 8,000, and our speed has increased over 130. That's usually what we cruise at, is right around 130 knots indicated. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my torque by pulling my power lever back to 1250. Just like tiny little adjustments. Then just bump up my prop to 2,000 RPM. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my descent now. We still have 24 minutes to go. So what I'm going to do is head over to my altitude, and I'm going to set up my pattern altitude at 1,100 feet. Like I said, the elevation was 60 feet. Then I'm going to scroll on down to my vertical speed and put it at 800. What that does is it puts a little top of descent right there, and then Betty will remind me, hey, top of descent, and that way you don't have to do any math at all to determine when you actually need to go down. So it's really handy. I've flown a lot of airplanes where I had to do the math, you know, so many miles out times so many numbers and this, that, and another, but it's been so many years I don't even remember the equations to do that anymore. So I just set it up here, keep it simple, stupid. If you are a sim pilot and fly airplanes at home from your computer, I have a lot of these kind of flights actually on my Patreon page, so if you're interested in flying some similar routes or some of my actual routes that I actually fly, there's a couple of the airstrips that are actually on X-Plane, or you can at least download the extra add-on and stuff to be able to do that. You can actually fly this exact same airplane here. And anyways, check out the Patreon page if you are interested in doing that. I also post a bunch of like photos you can download, as well as a lot of extra exclusive content, like on the ground stuff. So I do little short videos when I do land at these places. So today I'll actually be doing a short little video on Hauna, showing you around what it looks like on the ground, throw up the drone for a few minutes and get some cool drone shots and things. So if you are interested, go check that out. The link's down below.
Vertical track.
Alright, that's Betty letting us know that it's now top of our descent. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my vertical speed on my autopilot and turn it down to 800 feet per minute. It just kind of goes slowly in increments, otherwise it just shoots past your desired vertical speed. I have it at 7 right now, it's all the way up to 900, and then I click it at 800 as it's starting to level off, and then it kind of evens out around 800. It looks like my V2 tracker just reset itself for some weird reason. Anyways, at this point, this is when I start going through my checklist, my selectors and my brakes. My selectors are good, my brakes are good. We're going to go ahead and turn Betty off for this, or else she'll be yelling at us. So TAWS is off. My weight, so we're at 6,660 pounds right now, and I've got about 7 minutes left to go. So we'll just do it at 6,600 pounds. So our landing speed is 71. So on my VREF here, I'm going to set up 71 knots. Already have it at bypass. We're 21 miles to run, so I'm not going to go ahead and put my landing lights quite on yet. So one thing I can set up now is my heading bug for the runway heading. Runway heading is runway 21. So I can just set that up as a quick reminder. Once we get closer, I'll go ahead and hit my OBS button right here and set up my OBS to match my runway, and it'll give me a nice line, nice indication, because this one, it has some trees around it and sometimes it's kind of hard to see. So one last quick brief, I'm just going to look through my runway diagram, make sure I haven't missed anything. So this one is right next to the edge of the Sepik River, and depending on how high the river is will depend on how big of a cliff there is at the end of the runway. Some days if the water is super high, the water goes right to the edge of the runway, and then other times there's like a 20 feet kind of, well, maybe 15-foot cliff at the end, which kind of throws off. When you're coming in, it kind of gives you this visual perception that you're a lot lower than you really think you are, so you come in a little bit higher, and it's already only 484 meters long, so I kind of want to land within like the first 60 meters of actually where I want to land. So yeah, that's what I'm going to shoot for, is probably within the first 60 meters of the runway is usually where the first cone is. And that way I can get a lot of my good braking done before I get halfway down the runway where the sod starts packing up on my wheels. Alright, so I need to turn my altitude bug down to my pattern altitude of 1100, and it throws this little cyan arc up here. Let me go around this cloud real quick, it's going to get bumpy otherwise. Anyways, it throws this little blue cyan line, and that shows me where I'm actually going to arrive at my desired altitude that I've set up on my bug right here. So we'll just wiggle our way through these clouds here as we get down to 1,100 feet. We're at 5,200 feet right now. Alright, autopilot is off. Sometimes it's just fun to fly by hand through these clouds. Fly as close as you can, makes you feel like a fighter jet sometimes when you're only going 160 knots. The joys of not having passengers on board sometimes. Not that I don't like flying passengers, but I fly passengers, I'm always super conscious on like how smoothly I turn and all of that, because I don't want to be a pilot that makes everybody sick in the back and they remember you as the person who got them sick. All stations, Hauna 126.7, Kodiak November Tango Echo, 900 miles to the east-northeast, passing 4,000 on descent, circuit time, Hauna 40. Alright, we're within 10 miles. I'm going to hit my OBS button here and line it up to runway 210. And I just put a nice little line on my map page so that I can see the orientation of the runway. I'm also going to just set up perpendicular, my bug perpendicular to that line. That way I know when I'm going out on my crosswind, I can just line directly up nice and perpendicular. It just gives a nice visual cue. So, looks like it's great weather out here. As I'm coming down now through 3,000, I'm starting to smell the ash just a little bit, kind of a dusty smell. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't get much worse than this over the next couple of days. Alright, Hauna's just straight ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off to the right of it, come fly directly over top of it. That way I can examine. I know I have some people out here already, and they've said that the airstrip is in good condition, so I don't need to drag it or anything today. I'm just going to be checking to make sure that there's nobody mowing or anything. Sometimes there's people mowing and they can't hear you when you fly over, so it's good to fly over so they're aware that you're there and get off the runway. I once had a guy out here where he saw me coming, and he got nervous and he left his lawnmower in the middle of the runway, and he ran off to the side, but he left his lawnmower there. So that doesn't work very well. So I had to go back around, and then he moved his lawnmower. So this particular airstrip, when the river does flood, it also floods right about in the middle of it, and maybe that's why the grass in the middle is the type that gets ripped up really easily. So it looks like it was really long and they just cut it because it looks like there's a ton of piles of dead grass everywhere, and it looks like the river's down probably 10 feet or so, so there's kind of about a 10-foot cliff off there. So there's a little bit of a burn mark in on the right. That's about where I'd like to touch down. All right, we're at our pattern altitude. Go ahead and put my prop forward, 10 degrees of flaps, already in bypass, landing lights on. We do need to go around his power up, 20 degrees, pitch for 73, straight ahead, and just climb straight ahead out. Prop and harnesses. Heading 1267 November Tango Echo. Heading 6538 November Tango Echo in the circuit. Hauna, cancel SAR.
November Tango Echo, circuit area.
Circuit area Hauna, cancel SAR. November Tango Echo.
November Tango Echo, Hauna, SAR, what's your terminator?
November Tango Echo. All stations Hauna 126.7 Kodiak November Tango Echo in the circuit Hauna. Okay, 10 degrees of flaps already. Want to go ahead and line up on our downwind. We're nearly abeam the numbers at this time. Our SAR is complete, so 20 degrees of flaps and reduce my torque to around 400 foot-pound of torque. It's going to give us a nice gentle, maybe 500 to 550 on our descent. So I want to lose 300 feet here before I turn my base. My final 71 knots, my base is 81, my downwind is 91, so I'm just slowing down to 91 right now. I'm at 20 degrees of flaps. So at 850, I'm going to turn my base. All right, there's 850, turning base now, slowing to 81 knots. Turning final 650. Direction 550. All right, full flaps, checklist is complete.
500.
Turning final, looks like I'm a little bit high. And slowing to 71 knots. All right, 2 knots on the tail. I'm just going to aim for the cliff. That's my aiming point. That way I can land just a little bit past that, obviously. 73 knots, on to 71. All right, committed. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that short little 40-minute flight. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It definitely does help with the YouTube algorithm and pushes my videos to more people and helps my channel grow. So also, if, again, like I said, if you would like to fly flights like this on your simulator at home, check out my Patreon page where I do post stuff, and I'll actually be posting a video today. I'm going to be shooting a little short video here on the ground that I also put on my Patreon page. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great one. Alright, to shut down, I'm going to turn off my blowers. Taxi landing, strobe off, fuel pump, aux bus, generator, alternator. Back to idle. Shut off, NG starts coming down below 38. And turn off my fuel on the up wing so it doesn't transfer over. So again, thanks for watching. Have a good one.